From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News starts right now with breaking news.
Good afternoon. Jeff is off and Sarah is on assignment and will be joining us in just a moment. We begin with that breaking news from Green Bay. This 24-year-old Green Bay woman at Taylor Business is charged in a disturbing and brutal homicide unlike any other case Green Bay has ever seen. We first told you last Wednesday about a suspicious death investigation underway on Green Bay's west side in the 800 block of Stony Brook Lane. Sarah Thompson was on scene there all day as investigators worked on that case, and she is now live outside the courthouse with the new details we're learning this afternoon about this very bizarre case. Sarah.
It can be very bizarre indeed. Taylor Business appeared in Brown County Court behind me here just about 2 hours ago. She's charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and sexual assault. Now, I have to warn you, the details of this case are incredibly graphic, probably more graphic than any case I think I have ever reported on, and you need to be warned about that before you hear the details of the story. Taylor Business appeared in a holding cell from the Brown County Jail, looking calm today, just as investigators say she was as they interviewed her last week, mere hours after the victim's mother called police in the middle of the night. This is where details become very graphic. The woman told police she had discovered her son's head in a bucket in the basement of her Stony Brook Lane home. The first officers on scene reported finding a lot of blood in the basement. Prosecutors say Business told them she dismembered the victim's body. Once detectives searched the home, they say they found body parts in other bags, boxes, or storage containers in the basement. They also found multiple kitchen knives. The medical examiner says the victim died of strangulation during what Business told police was a sexual encounter. When investigators asked her what happened, she replied, "That is a good question," and said she blacked out during part of it, but said she, quote, "just went crazy." She told investigators she and the victim were together all day Tuesday and had been smoking meth before the murder. Police say Business was the last person seen with the victim last Tuesday and quickly became the first person for police to search for. Court records say when police found her on the other side of the city that morning, she had blood on her clothing and hands and stopped as soon as she saw police. In court this afternoon, prosecutors called this a case unlike anything they've seen.
I think the facts alleged are extremely concerning and disturbing and go to the violent nature and the grave nature of the offense.
Prosecutors asked for and received a $2 million cash bond for Business to keep her behind bars. Now, police have not formally identified the victim in this case, the 25-year-old man, and say that the victim's family and friends are requesting privacy. Reporting live in Green Bay, Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News.
Sarah, thank you. The special counsel tasked with investigating the 2020 presidential election in Wisconsin believes laws were broken and the Wisconsin Election Commission was derelict in its duty of serving the people of Wisconsin. Former state Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman released his findings in a more than 130-page report just moments before a public hearing on the topic in front of the Committee on Campaign and Elections. Emily Matesic followed that hearing today. She joins us live from the Fox Valley newsroom with more details. Emily.
Yeah, Cami, for the past several months at the request of Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, Michael Gableman has been investigating claims of wrongdoing by election officials in Wisconsin with regards to the 2020 election. In his report and his testimony today, Gableman claims to have found enough evidence that should lead the legislature to take a very hard look at the option of decertifying the 2020 Wisconsin presidential election. Gableman highlighted 8 items he called irregular and unlawful. Everything from the use of absentee ballot boxes to private funding earmarked for COVID precautions that he claims was instead used by Democratic strategists to target Joe Biden supporters. Gableman pointed out the lack of responsibility and oversight of the Wisconsin Elections Commission, the bipartisan entity that is supposed to come to the aid and advise local municipalities during an election. And admitted Trump supporter Gableman said his findings aren't about political beliefs, but instead the lack of transparency those associated with elections claims are necessary for a true democracy.
I don't have a dog in this fight. I just want the truth. And I want our elections to be honest, And I want all of my fellow citizens to not only know and believe that the elections are honest and fairly run.
And while Gableman did release his report today, he says this is only the beginning and he plans to continue investigating these claims of election wrongdoing. Reporting live in the Fox Valley newsroom, Emily Matesic, Action 2 News.
Thanks, Emily. Gableman's report has already brought reaction from both sides of the aisle in Wisconsin. Democratic Governor Tony Evers called it a, quote, circus, an embarrassment for our state. Also saying the effort has spread disinformation and attacked the integrity of the elections. Republican Assembly Majority Leader Representative Jim Steineke responded to claims the legislature could decertify the presidential election, saying it's not legal and that it would be, quote, a fool's errand, end quote. One Republican who did voice support for Gableman's report was Senator Ron Johnson, who says Gableman raised severe issues and that the Wisconsin Election Commission failed to follow established law and did not cooperate with the investigation. In weather tonight, a sunny and mild afternoon in progress on our Green Bay Skycam. However, that's not going to last very long. Meteorologist Keith Gibson joining us with a forecast from the First Alert Weather Center. Keith.
Cami, it's a great Tuesday afternoon, the first day of March. However, we do have a little bit of snow in the forecast for tomorrow morning and perhaps this upcoming weekend too. We showed you Green Bay. This is Oshkosh, 42 degrees. It is quite balmy, especially across the southern areas. You are the warm spot on the temperature map right now. Green Bay coming in at 38. We go up into the North Woods, Rhinelander 30, Pembine 29. A little bit cooler for you, but you've seen a little bit more sunshine up there. It's taken some time. Farther south, mostly sunny all day long. Wind speeds under 10 miles per hour overall, and those winds will continue to relax as we head on into the early evening. We look down to the south in Illinois and Iowa, true spring-like warmth, and we will start to see a little bit of that at some point over the next 7 days. But right now, it is relatively cool, and we will continue cooling later on this evening. The clouds will come on back later on this evening and tonight. Nothing on First Alert Viper Max right now, but we do have a chance for some snow after we get into tomorrow morning's commute, and we're thinking anywhere from a coating, maybe an inch or less. Not a big deal tomorrow morning, but it is possible. Your full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Keith. Russian forces continue to advance on Ukraine's two biggest cities, stepping up attacks on civilian populated areas. The UN says at least 136 civilians have been killed in Ukraine and 400 have been injured. But officials warn those numbers are likely much higher and will only go up as fighting intensifies. Today, Russia hitting a TV tower with a missile that damaged a nearby prominent Holocaust memorial. U.S. officials say a large Russian convoy heading towards Kyiv appears to be stalled as they run into resistance, as well as food and fuel shortages. Ukrainian and Russian delegates are set to hold the second round of talks on the Belarus-Poland border tomorrow, where Ukraine's president says his first demand is all Russian troops leave.
If you'll do this, and if those side is ready, it means that they are ready for the peace. If they don't ready, it means that you're just, wasting time.
We must send a resolute and unified message that President Putin should unconditionally stop this unprovoked attack, as the Secretary General and the High Commissioner have done, and immediately withdraw Russian forces from Ukraine. We must condemn, firmly and unequivocally, Russia's attempt to topple a democratically elected government and its gross human rights abuses and violations of international humanitarian law.
The humanitarian crisis continues as more than 600,000 Ukrainian refugees have fled to neighboring countries since the invasion began. The U.S. and its allies have agreed to a deal to lessen the impact on gas prices from sanctions on Russia, the world's second largest oil producer. The United States is joining with allies to release up to 60 million barrels of crude oil. Half of that total, 30 million barrels, will come from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The reserve is a stockpile of 600 million barrels of crude oil stored underground in Louisiana and in Texas. The other half of the 60 million will come from stockpiles in Europe and Asia. The average cost for a gallon of gas today was $3.62, 9 cents more than just a week ago. Russia's also continuing to see more international businesses cut ties with them. Today, Harley-Davidson announced a suspension of all bike shipments to Russia. Officials say this decision is a result of the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine and added that, quote, our thoughts continue for the safety of the people of Ukraine, end quote. Other companies have announced similar action toward Russia, including General Motors, BP, Disney, and Netflix. Meanwhile, here in Wisconsin, businesses are doing what they can to show support to those suffering in Ukraine. New at 4, Kaylin Schumacher joins us live at St. Matthew's Orthodox Church. It's just one of many organizations in town stepping up. Kaylin.
That's right. Here in the Green Bay area, Cornerstone Mortgage, Relico, and St. Matthew's Orthodox Church have set up donation boxes to help Ukrainian families and soldiers. Over the next couple of weeks, they are hoping to collect everything from clothing items to non-perishable foods to send overseas. Now, these businesses have teamed up with Meast Chicago Shipping, who has shipped to Ukraine for over 20 years to get their donations to where they need to go. Over the next few weeks, volunteers will take turns driving donation boxes to Chicago, and then from there, Meast will fly them to Poland and then drive them into Ukraine themselves. The first shipment will take place tomorrow. Tanya Shuskova, one of the partners for Cornerstone Mortgage, who grew up in Ukraine, says already today the amount of donations for the cause has been overwhelming.
So we reached out to everyone we could, and everybody's pulling together for this. We have business owners, we have people that are working for large companies in Green Bay area, and they have reached out to their employers, asking for donations and support and whatever we can do to help. We're here for that.
Now, alongside accepting donations, St. Matthew's Orthodox Church, where I am now, will be holding a prayer circle for families in Ukraine. That's taking place at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Reporting in Green Bay, Kaylin Schumacher, Action 2 News.
Thanks, Galen. In just a few hours, President Biden will be speaking to the nation and to Congress, what he is expected to address tonight, and what a Wisconsin congressman is saying